G'day legends, how you all going today? I'm Luke, and this is the Aussie filter.
Please adhere to YouTube selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behavior shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during this video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Bit bloody windy today, but here we are. Let's press on. See how this goes. This is the third time that I've tried to record this video, and things just keep going wrong every time I try to record it. It's like it doesn't want to be recorded. So let's dive into it. Let me tell you the first two things that happened. I started recording this video a couple of days ago, and it rained on me, so I had to stop. And then I recorded it yesterday, and after I did the intro, g'day, how you all going? I lit a cigarette, everything was going all right, and then as soon as I started to speak, the sound stopped working. Now I will show you a bit of that video, because I'll show you that it wasn't an equipment malfunction, but for some unknown reason, as soon as I start to speak about this topic that I'm going to speak about, weird things just happen. Rain out of nowhere, sound stop recording, just weird shit. What's been going on around this place for the last 6 months that we've been living here? Not quite 6 months, 5 months actually. You see, we moved from Cyprus to Romania back in March. So with a bit of background information, let's start at the beginning. We moved into this house in March. We used to live in Cyprus, or we were living in Cyprus. We've lived there for a few years, and we decided to move back to the mainland in Europe, and here in Romania. So back in February, when we kind of made up our minds that we were going to move, my wife came back here to Romania, because she is Romanian, so she came back to find us somewhere to live. Obviously, she speaks Romanian, I don't, so there was no point in me coming. I stayed in Cyprus and looked after Taya the dog, and yeah, she found us a place. And she came and had a look at this place, and she liked it. She sent me videos and, FaceTimed me and walked around and said, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, it looks good." Price was in our range. Everything was sweet. So we decided to take this place. And then a month later, mid-March, we actually made the move from Cyprus to this place. Fuck, it is windy. Keep looking up at the umbrella to make sure it don't blow away like fucking Mary Poppins or the Flying Nun if you're that old. But anyway, so mid-March we move into this place, and straight away one of the bedrooms had an off feel to it. Can't really explain it, but just something didn't feel comfortable in there. I don't really know how to explain it. It wasn't bad, but it just gives you a bit of a feeling in there that just doesn't feel welcoming or nice. And as we were still waiting for our possessions really to arrive from Cyprus, because they come by ship. We were sleeping in that room because that had a bed in it, so that's where we were sleeping. And straight away I started having problems. Like, I had back problems where I could not walk, I could not bend over. Shoulder problems, like I could not, every movement just hurt. And I put it down to, yeah, I'm getting a bit older and I'd just been doing a fair bit of physical work, which I hadn't actually been doing for a long time. I normally sit at a computer for the last few years, so a bit different to my old life of a coal miner where I was pretty active. I'm not that super active anymore. So I put it down to a new bed. It's not quite as firm as I would like it, and that type of thing. Like, yeah, okay. And it persisted and persisted for the first month, 6 weeks type of time frame. And I've never, ever had any sort of problems that have lasted that long. You know, yeah, of course I get a sore back every now and again. It normally lasts a day or two and then it's all good. But not on this occasion. It just kept going and going and going. And I was a little concerned by it because, like I said, I'm not used to having pain. I'm normally pretty pain free. So that was the first thing. And then my wife started to say things, and she's like, "Does it just me, or does it just feel off in this house?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it does, but it's new, and we're not really used to it. We don't know what's going on here. We're just new. It's nothing." And she's was asking more about this spare bedroom. Like, she's like, "Something's not right in here." She said, "It just doesn't feel right." So she went and got some salt, and she put salt in the corners of the room and across the front of the door and the window and that. And the mood sort of lightened a little bit. And I just thought, she's fucking old wives' tale, or, whatever makes your wifey feels good is okay by me. Didn't bother me that she putting salt around. Like, and everything was then sort of okay. No problems. It did seem to lighten the mood of the house. Then we had a friend come and stay with us, and she stayed in that room. I think she was here for like 3 or 4 nights. No problems, none whatsoever. But then when she moved out the next morning, that bedroom door was open. Now, I didn't pay any attention to it. But when my wife got up, she's like, "Did you open that bedroom door?" "No, I didn't open the door. I no need to go in there." And she said, "I swore I closed it last night, and this morning it was open. You sure you didn't go in there?" "Well, what do I want to go in there for? There's no need for me to go in there. I don't even look that way. Just check it out. I didn't know it was closed last night before we went to bed. I didn't know it was open this morning when we got up." And she sort of looked at me like I'm a bit crazy and I must have done it without knowing it or remembering that I opened the door. But I swear to God, I didn't touch the bloody thing. So she sort of dropped it until the next morning. And she got up and the door was open. And she come to me again. "Did you open that door?" I said, "No, I didn't open the bloody door." So I didn't even think about it again since you mentioned it yesterday. I said, "But no, I didn't go in there or I didn't open the door. I'm not playing games with you." And she said, "I'm remember closing that door last night." and this morning it's wide open. I said, doors just open sometimes, don't, you know, so what? And she said, come here. And she took me upstairs and to the door. She said, open it. And that door requires a little bit of effort to open and close. She said, you're telling me that it just opens. I said, oh, maybe you didn't close it properly. I don't know. Maybe you thought you closed it, but you didn't close it properly and it just swung open. Who knows? And she sort of looked at me like, yeah, right. I know I closed the door, but righto. So that night when we went to bed, she actually called me and said, watch. And she closed the door, closed it properly. It was a closed door. And then again, the next morning when we woke up, the door was open. And I said, okay, that's a bit strange. I didn't touch it. It wasn't me, it wasn't you. Who knows? But then we just went on with life. We never thought about it, just doing our things. And started to notice other things. Nothing big, but I would be seeing things out the corner of my eye. Like there'd be movement out of the corner of my eye. But when I look around, there's nothing there, there's nothing moving. And I was often catching things, like I'd be sitting on the couch watching some TV and I had a feeling and a bit of a out of the corner of my eye type of thing, something walking down the hall from the front door. Like there was something there, but there was nothing there. And I just thought, fucking idiot, fucking, you're all paranoid now because of the door opening upstairs. Now you're seeing shit. So I didn't say anything to my wife. I just sort of thought that must I'm just saying things like and putting two and two together that there's something there, but there's nothing there. And then the other day, I was coming out the back door and my wife was in the kitchen and a bright flash, like bright white light, just flashed. And I spun around and I said to her, I said, are you all right? Like, what happened? And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, did you plug something in and did it spark or did something go like arc up in the kitchen? And she said, no. I said, well, did you just see that bright light, that bright flash? And she said, no, I didn't see any. There was no bright flash. And I'm like, I swear to God, out of the corner of my eye, just from behind me where you are, there was a bright flash come from where you're standing. No. So I was like, oh, okay. And I swear to God that like there was a bright flash, but I didn't say nothing else. And then I think a night later, she was up in that spare room. She was in and out doing some shit, working on her computer because that's where her computer is. And she come out, went to the bathroom or something, and then she went back in and she called out to me. She goes, something stinks in this room. And I went in there and said, what, you shit yourself? Like, fuck me, that stinks. And she said, go to the center where the bed was. Like, go to that center there and lean over the bed. And right in the middle of the bed, but not on the bed, just in that middle section, it stunk. But it smelled like, to me, it reminded me of like a dead mouse or something. I've smelled a few dead mouses in my time, and that's what it kind of smelled like. And I said, "Oh yeah, something smells like something died here." And so I moved the bed and moved everything in the room to see if I could find what had died in the room. There was nothing in the room. The room was clean. So, oh shit, that's a bit weird. So again, she demanded that I go and get salt, and she said, "I'm going to put salt back around these in the four corners and across the door again. Go and get the salt." Right, no worries. So off I went and got the salt for her, and she resalted the room, and since then it's been fine. But she's not taking the salt out this time, she says. And that was all good. But then yesterday, I think it was yesterday or a couple of times over the last week or so anyway, but yesterday I do remember it distinctively. There was like three knocks, and it sounded like someone knocking on the front door. And my wife was upstairs, and I was in the kitchen, and we got a window that looks out on the street, and I can see the front door. I can't see it, but it's right next to the kitchen, so I can see if anybody comes through the gate and was walking towards the house. But there was like three distinctive knocks, and it's not the first time that I've heard it. But again, I've always put it down to like I'm just hearing things like that aren't there, just weird. And I had a look, and even my dog heard it because she come running around from the back of the house to the front of the house, and she's looking. And I was talking to her. I said, "Did you hear that too?" And obviously, she didn't answer, but she was looking like she was expecting to see somebody too. And then it got me thinking about my dog and the weird things that she's been doing since we got here. She'll just sit at the corner of the house and stare up and then start howling. Now, she's a bit of a Klingon dog. She's a German Shepherd, but so she does like company. But that's a bit of a weird behaviour. Like, she has never done that before, where she'll just howl. Like, she howls when I leave the house. If I go outside and like out the gate and go off, she'll howl because she wants to come with me. Or if there's dogs running past and they don't stop and talk to her, she'll howl and cry and whinge. But lately, she has just been sitting in a spot, kind of at the corner of the house, and look at nothing and then just start howling. Or sometimes she'll do it just here behind us. She'll be facing the house and then she'll just start howling, and it's a sorrowful howl. And as I said, we've always, oh, me particularly, have just put it down to that's Taya. She does these things. But yesterday really kind of caught my attention. She was sitting at my feet and she jumped up and she was staring at something next to me. She got the bristles up on the back of her neck and she was staring with intent. And then she started barking and she got down low like a dog on protect, I guess. I don't know how to really explain it, but you know, when a dog gets down low and the bristles on their neck and they sort of put their head forward, she was like that. And she was right next to me. And I initially thought it was a cat because cats jump into the yard. The neighbours have cats and they often just walk through the yard, and she doesn't like cats. She chases them and barks and carries on. But there was no cat. I had a look around. There was nothing there. But she saw something. What she saw, I don't know. But after 30 seconds or whatever, she actually ran outside and to the spot that she was staring at and was sniffing around and looking like there was something just here. And I swear to God, I looked, nothing there at the time, but she saw something. So I kind of got this thought thing going on. But the real kicker is why I'm actually making this video is because of what happened in a few videos ago that I made. I was sitting right here, same spot, same background. Now I'll just move my camera a little bit so you can see. I've got an umbrella up so I can keep the sun kind of away. Absolutely exactly the same setup. And I'll show you the footage. This kind of freaked me out a little bit because I didn't actually see it. There was while I was sitting out here recording, nothing had happened. Just looked like today, perfect day. No smoke, no wind. Well, today's windy, but there was no wind. Just a glorious summer day. Now you can make up your own mind what you think this is. No, but what had happened was after I'd edited it, I sent it to my wife's computer to take some screenshots so I can do a thumbnail. So she was going through my video to look for a good thumbnail shot. And she calls out to me. She's like, what happened at, I think it's 5 minutes 32? But she didn't actually call it. She sent me a text message. What happened at 5 minutes 32 in your video? And I started thinking, don't tell me I fucked up or missed something or I did something stupid there. So I go in and go upstairs and have a look, and she goes, what's this? For smokers and one side for non-smokers. Like, where does it end? And as you can see, it's like something comes along like that, like smoke or some sort of thing. And I said, so you know what it reminds me of when you put your thumb kind of over the lens of the camera a little bit, and it gives that blurry thing. I said, but I didn't do it. And she said, I've been up here. She said, I've zoomed in so I can look into your sunglasses and see what reflection that's there. She said, I thought I might have come out and blown smoke or something. She says, but I didn't come out while you were recording this. And I said, no. I said, I don't know what it is. It's very weird. And it has come from the open. Like, I'm pretty close to the fence here. But it comes from this side and comes that way. And I'm a fair way away from the house. So that's what got me thinking about all the things that have happened in this house since we moved here. With the dog being a bit crazy, with the smells and the things happening in my peripheral, the knocking on doors. So it's kind of been on my mind a little bit lately. And not only that, when I made a decision, yeah, I'm going to make a video and I'm going to talk about it. Things keep happening when I go to record this video. I said, first time, weather, it's weather. I was like, yeah, okay. But then the second time, when I'm recording, and as soon as I go to start speaking about it, the audio shuts off. Now, I will, if you look at the vision, you can actually see that the little green light on my camera, on my microphone here, is working. So it should be recording sound, but it doesn't. It just cuts off after a minute and a half or something like that, where it is. And I went through the whole video and zoomed in on my little microphone here, and the whole time that green light's on. Like, you can't see it all the time because sometimes it just covers up or flops over or whatever, like this, like, but it's on. And I was, after I did it, I was like, I was initially pissed off. I'm like, fucking hell, that's fucked. But I showed my wife, and I'm like, you want to hear something a bit freaky? I said the microphone stopped working, and I told her, and she just stared at me. She's like, "We're out of here." She goes, "We're moving. I don't want to live here no more." So we're actually going to probably move at the end of the summer, and we'll find somewhere else to live. Personally, it doesn't bother me too much, but you know the old saying, happy wife, happy life. Gotta keep the wifey happy. So we're out of here. That'll be something. But anyway, what do you think of my story? Am I just making shit up? Am I just paranoid? What would you think if all those things were happening to you? Would you want to hang around? I don't know. We're not. We're out of here. Anyway, drop it in the comments. Tell me if I'm just crazy, full of shit, or maybe there is something going on. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.